Go ahead and call this meeting to order Wednesday, July 5th, 2023. Please stand and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, all. Hope you had a good 4th of July holiday celebrating the greatest country on earth, despite some of the leadership on the east side of the nation. But a little unique today and meeting on Wednesday, but appreciate everyone being here. We do have a quorum present this morning with 4 commissioners in attendance. And the first order of business would be the approval of the agenda. Commissioners, we do need to amend the agenda. I would like to place the item directly after the consent agenda. It'll be an action item relative to a resignation and vacancy declaration for a seat on the Board of County Commissioners. With that amendment, I would entertain a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
move to approve the agenda as amended.
Mr. Chairman, I would second that.
Got a motion to approve by Commissioner Richards. Got a second by Commissioner Toman. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Next item today is under tab A. We've got 2 public hearings for some budget amendments. First being resolution 2307 CL01 for the county coroner's office. We've got Clerk Lane with us in attendance this morning. Good morning, Cindy.
Good morning, Chairman, Commissioners. Before you, I do have resolution 23-07-CL-01, which is a Sweetwater County budget amendment for the coroner's office, which is an expenditure increase of the general fund county coroner capital for $1,300 and the expenditure decrease from the general fund under county coroner operating. This will need to be opened up for public comment.
Any questions on the amendment, Commissioners? Hearing none, we'll now open up the public hearing on resolution 2307 CL01, budget amendment in the county coroner's office. If there's anyone in attendance or online that would like to speak to this amendment, now would be the appropriate time. Hearing and seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
I'd move to approve resolution 23-07-CL-01, Sweetwater County budget amendment.
Do you have a motion to approve by Commissioner Richards? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slaughter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Back to you, Cindy.
Okay, now we have resolution 23-07-CL-02, which is a Sweetwater County budget amendment for the expenditure increase general fund for the Child Development Center for $928, which is a revenue increase for the general fund, interest revenues for $928. And this will also need to be opened up for public comment.
Thanks, Cindy. Any questions, Commissioners? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and open up the public hearing on resolution 2307 CL2 for the CDC. If there's anyone in the audience or online that would like to speak to this budget amendment, now would be the appropriate time. Hearing and seeing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. And Commissioners, what's your pleasure on resolution 2307 CL02?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve resolution 2307 CL02.
Got a motion to approve by Commissioner Slaughter. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Cindy. Appreciate it. Moving right along in the agenda, Commissioners. Next up is county resident comments and concerns. At this time, if there's anyone online or in the audience that would like to address a governing body on any issue whatsoever, now would be the appropriate time. Seeing and hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the county resident comment and concern portion of the agenda. We'll move right along into tab B. On the agenda under tab B is the consent agenda, which includes the approval of the June 20th, 2023 minutes, the June 22nd, 2023 budget meeting that we had minutes, the approval of the county vouchers and EALs, approval of bonds, approval of abates and rebates, ratification of the letter of support for the city of Rock Springs for their Safe Streets for All grant, and a request to restaff a position in the treasurer's office. Commissioners, if you've had a chance to review the consent agenda and there's no questions,
Mr. Chairman, I would make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
got a motion to approve by Commissioner Toman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Next up is the item we just added under the amendment for the agenda. We've all received a letter of resignation from Commissioner Shanefield. She has accepted a position in the governor's office, which is forcing her to move to the eastern side of the state. And with that, she has vacated her seat. So like to show our appreciation to Commissioner Shanefield for her 4 years of service to Sweetwater County. It's a difficult job, as you all know, and can be a lot to balance, especially with your job outside of here and a young family and things of that nature. So I thank her for her dedication and wish her well in her next endeavor. With that responsibility comes some action on our behalf, of which obviously as Commissioner was a Republican, we do need to announce a vacancy and send notification to the Sweetwater County Republican Party Central Committee. I have been in contact with Chairman Elizabeth Bingham in regards to the process, just making sure that we're all on the same page and we're giving adequate time for both sides of it to ensure that we move through it effectively and efficiently, while also not rushing through the process. So it seems as though we're on the same page. I appreciate Liz's time and making sure that we're handling it the proper way here. Once we declare the vacancy, the Central Committee will have 20 days to select 3 candidates, which they'll forward on to us, and we will make the decision from there. Kind of the timeline I've discussed with Liz is if we declare this morning, which would obviously be the intention, the Central Committee plans to obviously accept applications and then have a meeting on the 22nd of July here, in which case they will forward us the names in time for us to advertise for our next, or for our first agenda in August. So expect that to be on the August 1st agenda. And is there any other questions on that before we move forward? I did include a letter to you this morning. This resignation from Commissioner Shanefield came out after we had advertised for today's agenda. So that's the reason for the amendment, but you should have a copy. Obviously, she sent us the resignation. She's also been in contact with Chairman Bingham in regards to her vacancy as well. So the letter has been prepared with the help of legal today, advising essentially what I just relayed. So if there are no questions, I would entertain a motion to accept the resignation of Commissioner Shanefield and declare a vacancy on the Sweetwater County Board of County Commissioners seat.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
I'd move to accept Commissioner Shanefield's resignation letter effective July 1st, 2023, and declare that a vacancy exists on the board, on the Sweetwater County Board of County Commissioners.
Do you have a motion by Commissioner Richards? Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I would second that.
Second by Commissioner Toman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. We will get this signed and over to Elizabeth. Did you have anything you wanted to add? Good to go? Okay. All right, we'll move right
Now the
along.
work begins.
Yeah,
I might just comment, Mr. Chairman, this is The public needs to know this is very important for our precinct committee men and women, or they are the ones who will select the 3 people. So if you are a county Republican committee man or woman and you wondered what you were supposed to be doing, this is your most important job.
Indeed, very important selection process. So big shoes to fill, and we'll see how it shakes out. Next up on the agenda is commissioner comments. And it looks like Commissioner Slaughter, you're up first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm glad we're a little bit ahead today. I am anticipating that I will take some of the time that I failed to use at our last meeting today. It's been a very busy last couple of weeks. So since our last commission meeting on 6/20 of 23, on the 21st of June, I met with Commissioner Tolman and Ryan Green and Rob Sturgis, who are representatives of C. Victus. They have acquired land and mineral rights north of Rock Springs and hope to develop a plant capable of extracting minerals from underground coal utilizing CO2 injection. The plant would be similar to a plant they are planning in Alberta, Canada. That plant is nearing the end of permitting and will hopefully be built and in production in late 2024. The ultimate goal of the plant is to produce clean hydrogen and synthesize gas to geologically sequester captured CO2 and raw flue gas from its own operation and from third parties. It will be exciting to see how this concept materializes. On the 22nd, we held our public hearing to formally adopt the fiscal 24 Sweetwater County budget. It was nice to finalize the budget that so many people worked so long and hard to produce. I think we came up with a quality budget that addressed the needs of our human service agencies, component units, and the general county. That afternoon, I spoke with Richard Stem. As you'll remember, Richard is a consultant who's been working with CLG. He had informed us a little bit about the process of forming a collaborative. And when he was supposed to speak to us the last time, he actually came down with pneumonia, could not make it. He is still interested in coming down to talk to us about potentially forming a collaborative to work on the Ashley National Forest and possibly on the Flaming Gorge National Recreation Area. He'd like to come down and do the presentation at our regular meeting on July 18th. He estimated the cost to have his presentation would be about $1,500 to $2,000, no more than that. I told him I would bring it up today and get back to him with a decision. I had talked with Commission Chair West about this. He felt it would be appropriate to talk about that in these comments and see if it's something that we would like to do. So if so, I would like to get back with him this afternoon to give him time to prepare to come down and do that. So commissioners, I don't know what you think about that. I believe that from everything that I have learned about the collaborative efforts, it gives us a much better cooperative agency status with respect to these plans that are going forward, and a much better representation for the public if we do that, and also gives us opportunities to potentially receive grants that we wouldn't be eligible for otherwise. So I would suggest that we try and do this. I don't know how you feel about that.
Your thoughts, Commissioner Richards?
I guess I'm confused as to why we need to pay him now to come do what he was going to do last month and also was doing on Zoom before. It was my understanding it was him trying to convince us that we should do a collaborative. I mean, if we were pursuing him and his advice, I guess I would understand paying him, but he's the one that reached out to us.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioner Richards, no, actually, I think he would be actually representing us. I had talked with him. I was at a CLG meeting, and it was brought up at the CLG meeting that Rich was an expert in this collaborative area. The CLG felt like it would be a good idea to form this collaborative. And so it was suggested that I potentially talk to Rich about doing this, and we try and set it up as a county commission in Sweetwater County. At that point in time, he was actually going to be here to attend to a CLG meeting the last time we had him on the agenda. But as I say, he came down with pneumonia, was not able to make it. He is from Montana. And when I spoke with him this last time, he had brought forth the fact that it would cost him roughly that amount. And he was willing to do that and charge us $95 an hour under his normal pay schedule to come down and help us understand the collaboration process.
I had a similar question because I thought it was just a proposal to offer it, not a proposal to charge and then offer it. Commissioner Slaughter thought that, I believe the last trip that he tried to make, he had a couple stops to make, and so there wouldn't be much of a cost, if any, at that time, but now it sounds like he's wanting to charge to make the trip down, so.
Well, the other option is we could have him come to the CLG meeting and they would pay it. The next CLG meeting will be on the 20th.
Yeah, and we can certainly do
Because
that. It
the
was,
other CLG members might benefit from, but then all of the commissioners wouldn't get to hear his presentation, so that. And there are two ideas for a collaborative. One is for the Ashley National Forest, which I don't think we might belong to, but I don't think it's as vital as the Flaming Gorge National Recreation Area. The idea of the collaborative is to form an outside group that can go out and seek funding to get the Forest Service moving on projects faster than they can get it through their process. So that's the purpose of the collaborative. Maybe they could work with the Outdoor Recreation Council also, or draw members maybe from that. The idea is to get a group of independent, interested citizens. And this would be a collaborative for the Flaming Gorge National Recreation Area to get some projects on the ground, to get some other match funding for the Forest Service, and to get the process moving faster to do improvements.
Mr. Chairman, from speaking with other entities that have done collaboratives, they feel like it's extremely beneficial to them. So I would still suggest that we do this. We look into doing this with Mr. Stem, certainly at the will of the commission, but I think it would be beneficial to our citizens to do so.
So Mary, if you said your next CLG meeting's on the 20th, is that something we could even entertain a shared cost perhaps? I mean, we're meeting on the 18th.
Yeah, maybe we could coordinate and then he could do both meetings, then we'd only have to pay half of his travel maybe.
And Mr. Chairman, as we have the discussions of whether it's important for us to become part of a collaborative, it seems to make more sense to me to have a workshop with him on a Zoom call, or have him call into a Zoom call to a meeting and not spend significant amount of money, just information gathering on something like that. I don't necessarily think it's a bad idea, but before I start putting thousands of dollars into it, I kind of want to know what advantages it brings. I guess I was just confused as to what his purpose in meeting with us was. I was under the impression that he was trying to convince us that it was a good idea and then hire him, not hire him to convince us it was a good idea.
Mr. Chairman, that was not the case. I mean, he was not trying to convince us. He was just simply there as a consultant. It was my concept, having worked with the CLG and talked with the other people who have been involved with those collaboratives, and felt like it would be a good thing. That was the reason we had the original Zoom call with him. I don't think that it was as effective as it could have been. I think I still, once again, believe it would be beneficial for us to look at doing this. So, but I will submit to the will of the board. So
I think it would be beneficial, Mr. Chairman, if I may jump in.
Great, so that leaves it on me. Yeah, I mean, I understand the benefit of it. I too think it's a little weird being in sales to charge for your estimate, so to speak.
but Mr. Chairman, if I could just correct, it's not really an estimate. He's providing the information on what a collaborative is. He would not be doing future services basically for us. He would be teaching us how to form the collaborative, helping us to get partners to move forward with this. It would not be for future services to try and enlist him for future services to do this.
Oh, so he's not actually the collaborative. He's just explaining the significance, importance of one.
Yes.
I don't know. I can see both sides of it, but it just seems kind of odd to spend up to $2,000 on an education course. You know, I would think if he just wants to come to CLG and, you know, inform you two, if CLG is willing to pay for it or have an update, you know, it probably makes more sense. My original understanding was that this is what he did, and he would specialize in being the collaboratives or the collaborator. But yeah, I don't know, I have some of the same hesitations as far as spending, up to $2,000 just to bring him down here to give us a 45-minute presentation. I know we tried it on Zoom that one day. It wasn't super effective, but a lot of that was because he was fighting a cold or whatever, and it was hard to understand him. So I kind of lean more towards saving some money on a Zoom option, or if, like I said, he wants to attend CLG.
And Mr. Chairman, just for clarification, once again, he has an issue with his voice. That was not an issue that he had a cold at that time. So that is his natural voice that we were experiencing at that point in time also.
Due to throat cancer.
Okay. Well, how's that for some clear as mud direction, Commissioner?
Well, Mr. Chairman, I will talk with Mr. Stem this afternoon, let him know what our conversation has been. And let him know that if he would like to come down and present to the CLG, which I think he may do, we will once again try and use the benefit of his knowledge to work towards forming a collaborative here in Sweetwater County, if that would suffice.
Works for me.
Mr. Chairman, then I'll contact Eric South, the chairman of CLG, and make sure he's on the agenda to share how to do the collaborative. Do you think that would be appropriate? Commissioner Slaughter?
Yes, Commissioner Tolman, Eric would be a good source. There are people within the CLG who are already performing the functions on a collaborative who said that they would assist this in doing this, but they felt like it would be important for us to understand. And that was the reason they felt like it would be important for us to talk with Mr. Stem, was to get the full input of what the collaborative can do for us, how to do it most beneficially. And, but we can certainly talk with all of those people at CLG and try and utilize them as a source in doing this, if we choose to move forward. So after that, Mr. Chairman, on the 23rd, Commissioner Richard chauffeured me to McKinnon to speak with citizens concerned with the state of County Road 1. We met for about an hour with Mark Anderson and discussed the RFP that had gone out for engineering firms to do an analysis and recommendation for County Road 1. The state of the 27-mile road is terrible, but our road and bridge department had been out doing some patching and were making some headway. We also looked at Rocking Chair Lane, another site of concern down in that area. On the 26th, I met with Public Works Director Legursky to relay our findings on County Road 1 and to further discuss the RFP process to hire an engineering firm to provide recommendations. We received 2 bids and are currently in the process of reviewing them. Director Legursky also informed me of an issue that we will be discussing later today relating to Lagoon Road. Later that day, I met with Irene Richardson and Tiffany Marshall, representatives of Memorial Hospital. They are researching the idea of expanding hospital services and wanted to discuss the issue and see if the county might have any buildings that might be suitable for their needs. We had a good discussion, and they will continue their process and keep us informed as they finalize plans to move ahead. At 4 p.m. that day, Mariel and I attended the ice cream social to welcome the members of Airstream Club to the events complex. It was very exciting to see the 2,500 Airstream trailers and to talk with club members about all the things that Sweetwater County offered them while they were here attending their rally. Candy was then generous enough to offer us a golf cart tour of the events complex and the upgrades and additions they are putting in place. They have done and continue to do a great job representing and showcasing Sweetwater County. On the 27th, the Golden Hour Seniors Center held their board meeting. They discussed their budget, their investment plan, and heard a report from Director Ruth Lauritsen. They had a couple of issues in their annual fire marshal's report. They're also having some issues with kitchen appliances, but are working to resolve each of these problems. On the 28th, I missed the Memorial County Finance and Audit Committee meeting. I logged into Zoom at 4 p.m. for a 2 p.m. meeting. That was an oops. I did, however, reach out to Tammy Love and got a review of what had taken place. Staff presented a narrative report and new financial goal graphs. They also gave an update on a new revenue cycle plan that I reported on last month. On the 3rd, I received a concern from Daggett County EMS concerning an ambulance call in Washam once again. After doing significant research on that and talking with several principals, I would recommend that we once again contact Bailey Doctor of Castle Rock, who at our last meeting stated that if we had any issues such as this, she would like to be informed. And then I would suggest that we once again have a meeting with the principals that we met with 2 months ago, and once again determine the status of the MOU that we thought, or at least that I thought, was in place to handle these issues. Later that day, I received a phone call from Barbara Sweetwater, chairman of the Memorial Hospital Board. She, hospital CEO Irene Richardson, and hospital attorney Jeff Phillips wanted to inform me of a potential policy change with respect to weapons on the hospital campus. After a lengthy discussion, they decided to wait to introduce the proposed policy change at their regular board meeting in August. This change was intended to allow the Board of County Commissioners time to address it. Yesterday, we participated in the second annual Liberty Day Parade in Rock Springs with Commissioner Tolman and Commissioner Richards. Commissioners were invited to participate in the parade by the Rock Springs Chamber. I'd like to thank Rick Lee of the Chamber and congratulate him on the outstanding success of the parade. I would also like to thank Whistler Chevrolet for providing a beautiful Chevrolet pickup for us to ride in. We passed out 27 pounds of candy to extremely enthusiastic parade goers. I think everybody had a great time. Last night, I attended the Green River fireworks display, very enjoyable despite 35-mile-an-hour winds. Shout out to the city of Green River and especially the firemen who actually set off those fireworks. I also feel that it would be remiss if I didn't thank our veterans and first responders who make our freedoms possible. Mr. Chairman, I also have our Public Works report, which has been sent to each of you. I will read it in for a matter of record. So from Public Works Director Legursky, on buildings, our report for July 5th, 2023, crews are getting caught up on most of the preventative maintenance work just in time to start the third quarter PM work. Maintenance crews completed 102 work orders this month. The Road and Bridge Department, they're still working on cleaning out culverts and cattle guards, fixing the ends of the cattle guards that were crushed during the winter weather. This is a pretty tall order since we have approximately 3,200 culverts within Sweetwater County road system. Crews are starting to get roads ready for dust control treatment. This project should start in the next couple of weeks. Parks and Rec, the Parks and Rec Department has come up with a pretty good routine since they are still shorthanded. They will start helping out some of the road edges that the road and bridge mower can't reach because of its size. Engineering, the Lagoon Road project is proceeding well. The entire length of the roadway has been sub-excavated and the contractor will start installing the drainage culverts over the next couple of weeks. We received 2 RFPs for the County Road 1 study. The committee will go through these RFPs this week and we will select a firm that will be presented to the board for approval during the July 18th, 2023 meeting. We will also start monitoring and coordinating the fiscal year 23 paint striping project and working on the draft for the fiscal 23-24 CMAQ grant. Mr. Chairman, that is the end of mine and Mr. Legursky's reports. I would stand for any questions.
Thanks, Commissioner. Any questions for Commissioner Slaughter? I did receive a couple calls in regards to the shooting range and the trap club. And I just kind of want the public to know that they're getting there, as Commissioner Slaughter just alluded to with the short staffing in the recreation department. The shooting range is in pretty bad condition right now. They're aware of it. They're working on it. But also what's attributing to a lot of that is the public going out with shotguns and shooting up all the targets and various other things at that facility. And we've had, numerous vandalism issues there. We've had numerous complaints with, some of the, I guess, those in attendance utilizing the trap club. And I would just ask that, the public that's complaining needs to help us, police those areas. It's a large county. The parks within Sweetwater County are very spread out. We do the best we can, but in those, distant areas such as the shooting range, it's pretty hard to police. So I just wanted to add that if it continues, there's a good chance we're gonna have to make a change there. So just thought I'd add that to the end of your report, Commissioner. There's no other comments or questions. Thanks for your work, Commissioner. Busy couple weeks. We'll follow up with some of the issues you've brought forward and see if we can find some resolution there. Next up on the commissioner comments would be Commissioner Tillman.
Well, thank you, Commissioner Slaughter. You saved me a lot of time on my report. I attended the meeting with Ryan Green on the hydrogen project, so I won't go into detail because he did such a good job. On the 22nd, I attended the budget hearing via Zoom. On the 30th, I went to Kimmer to be on a panel discussing sheep, which is our family occupation. It was the first ever Wyoming Sheep and Wool Festival, and it was very well done. Thanks to Cat Urbicite and the Wyoming Wool Growers and others. They had a 3-day event, and I just wanted to share one of the events that relates to Sweetwater County. Judge William Carter was the first true sheep producer in Wyoming. Because of his impact, Carter County was created by the 7th Legislative Assembly of Dakota Territory in 1867, but the first Wyoming Territorial Legislative Assembly changed the name of Carter County to Sweetwater County in 1869. So there's your trivia for the day. Attended the Coalition of Local Governments on June 29th. We used to have a 1-page agenda. Now it's up to 3 or 4 pages. A lot of it due to President Biden and all of his rules and orders and how it affects our public lands and our natural resources. Just some highlights. Through the coalition, we will be requesting a federal natural resource policy grant again through the governor's office to help match our dues so that we can continue our legal work on all of these issues. A new hot issue is the old growth forests, another rule by Biden's team. So Richard Stem, one of the consultants, will be helping provide input on that rule. The CLG will ratify the comments on the conservation rule, which they're trying to make it a part of multiple use on public lands. There's so many issues. Rocky Mountain Power is asking for the 21.6% increase, a rate increase. So through the coalition, we've been commenting the whole time to the Public Service Commission and to Rocky Mountain Power. Let's see, there will be a hearing July 17th in Rock Springs City Council chambers from 5:30 to 7. A Zoom link will be provided. So we do need to have some commissioner presence July 17th at that public service hearing meeting. CLG will prepare comments for us. There are so many issues. Greenhouse gas emissions, another ruling coming out from EPA. Gas and oil lease sale, quarterly sales are coming up again. The waters of the USA have been due to court actions, those rules have been revised again. Sage Grouse Plan amendments have a cooperating meeting on July 12th, which I will attend via Zoom. Any of you are welcome to do that. They're accepting comments till June 28th. Pacific Dry Creek Trona, we usually meet the first of the month. Bridger Teton National Forest is starting up their planning process again. There will be fall meetings for cooperators. Rock Springs Resource Management Plan. There are lawsuits on the Wild Horse EA, of course. Those are the highlights. I just wanted to catch the highlights, but as I said, another action by this administration is USDA through the Farm Service Program seeks comments on increasing land access for underserved. They're doing a programmatic EA, which we have no idea what that's about, and comments are due the 14th of July. So our attorney through the Coalition of Local Governments will research that, send draft comments out to us. The next meeting will be July 20th in Lyman on the Coalition of Local Governments. That's our legal voice that helps us comment on all of the federal actions that happen in Sweetwater County on our 70% public lands. Oh, they issued a new ruling on the grazing regulations. They've pulled out. They have sidestep the cooperator process. They were having cooperator meetings. Now they decide they want to do their own thing and not have our input. So that was kind of different. Attended the Liberty Parade with my fellow commissioners Slaughter and Richards yesterday. Very well done. They had a good turnout in spite of the kind of chilly weather. I will attend the Eden Board of Health meeting on Thursday. The Eden senior dinner on Monday, airport board meeting on the 12th. I did receive a call from Bridge of Faith 4-H Extension supervisor. He wants an executive session with this commission regarding that program and the director. Mr. Chairman, that concludes my report.
Thanks, Commissioner. What was the reason for the executive session?
Personnel and building.
Any questions for Commissioner Toman's report, commissioners? Busy couple weeks for you as well. Commissioner Richards, you're up next.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, fellow commissioners. First, I want to say I hope everyone had a fantastic Independence Day. The patriotism on display yesterday was a great reminder of why we do what we do in this room and who we do it for. I want to thank Rick Lee as well as everyone else at the Rock Springs Chamber for giving us the opportunity to be a part of a great Liberty Day parade yesterday, celebrating our nation's independence and the rights and responsibilities that come with that freedom to be part of the political process that's necessary to protect the liberties our forefathers fought for. It healed my heart to see kids on the side of the road with their hands on their hearts while our nation's flags went by. With that in mind, I want to extend my congratulations to Commissioner Shainfeld for her new role as Senior Policy Advisor to Governor Gordon and offer my sincere gratitude to her for the 4 years of service she gave to the people of Sweetwater County in her role as Commissioner. We all know that the sacrifice involved in doing this job, and I want to thank her for hers. So good luck going forward, Lauren. It was a pleasure serving with you, and I wish you nothing but the best during this new chapter of your life. With that said, commissioners, it's been a busy couple of weeks since we saw each other last. On the 21st, Chairman West and I received an update from Cvictus Energy about their evolving technologies and future projects they have planned in Sweetwater County. It was very informative and interesting. On the 22nd, after our budget meeting, I met with the Community Growth Committee that was organized by Senator Jones and Representative Larson. It was attended by additional members of the legislature, several local government officials, and representatives from some of the companies that are involved in a few of the industrial projects that will be coming our way over the next few years. What it boils down to is over the next 2 to 5 years, we will see somewhere between 4,000 to 6,000 short-term jobs coming to Sweetwater County, followed by somewhere between 1,000 and 2,000 permanent jobs. So basically, we have a boom coming that is going to bring quite a lot of impact to our communities. That means impact to law enforcement, impact to health and human services, impact to public works, impact to our land use, courts. Pretty much, we're going to see significant impacts to every service we provide as a county, and those impacts are going to cost significant amounts of money to meet. I told our legislators that one, the impact funds we receive, while helpful, always come after the fact. So by the time we get the money for a new patrol vehicle, funding for a new communications tower, or revenue to resurface a damaged road, the impact has already hit us. So I asked them for mechanisms to front load those impact funds in the future. Second, since the state cut the amount of impact funds we receive, I told them that if they want to hold on to that money themselves at the state level, then they should be absorbing more of the impact. Either that or make us whole so we can have the money to do it ourselves. Third, I asked them to reassess the additional oversight they are putting on the impact funds. Not only are they giving us less, they are expecting us to spend more, providing them additional reports that none of them will likely ever read anyway. The fact is, Sweetwater County has the best project accounting management in the state, and it doesn't make sense for them to make our staff's jobs more difficult because they have overfunded some small communities with impact funds in the past. With the short-term jobs, we're going to see huge housing shortages. So I asked the industry representatives what their plans were to provide housing to their transient workforce. I was not filled with confidence by the answers I received. We're going to have to be vigilant on that front, and we'll need to be proactive in addressing some of our zoning in the county to provide for some more affordable housing solutions. It reinforces the decision we made to fund another position in the land use department because we're going to see a lot of action in that area in the coming years. The committee will continue to meet monthly for the foreseeable future, and I think it's a good idea for us to stay involved. So I'll continue to attend those meetings. On the 23rd, Commissioner Slaughter and I took a drive down the roller coaster to McKinnon, known as County Road 1, to meet with some constituents who had some concerns about that road. And those concerns were quite valid. CR1 is always an issue, but it took a beating this winter and has a lot of problems that need to be addressed. Gina and the staff have it in their sights though, and I'm confident that working with them will be developing some long-term plans to address the worst of those issues. On the 26th, I attended a combined communications meeting and then attended a meet and greet at the events complex with the Airstream Club. What a fantastic event Candy and her staff organized. I got to meet Eric, who's the president of the Airstream Club, and he assured me that the Sweetwater Events Complex was by far the best facility they have ever used to host their rally. Even now, hundreds of Airstreams are still parked there, enjoying our local area. They liked it so much, they stuck around, watched our fireworks displays last night, and have been using Sweetwater County as their home base to explore the surrounding areas. On the 27th, I attended a Fair Board meeting, and then on the 29th, I attended a SCORC steering committee meeting. Tomorrow, I'll be meeting with some staff along with some of our other countywide elected officials to try to develop a policy to address indigent funeral care. And later, I'll attend the grand opening of the Spicer Family Pavilion at the events complex. On the 11th, I have a SCORC State Park Subcommittee meeting. On the 12th, I'll be at a P&Z meeting followed by the monthly WCCA call. Then after a long wait, I have some good news, and that is that the State Shooting Sports Complex Task Force is finally going to have their first meeting on the 14th in Casper at 2 p.m. So I do plan on attending that. The governor made his appointments, and one of those included was Josh Corsi, who we wrote a letter of recommendation for. The task force is going to get to work rather quickly and is already planning to visit some existing complexes in the western states. Coincidentally, sites they plan to visit are also sites that our land use director and I have identified as good sites to model after. I'm excited to finally see some movement on that front. Then on the 17th, the Minerals Business and Economic Development Legislative Committee will meet here in Rock Springs, so I intend on being there for that, followed by a library board meeting that evening. So a couple busy weeks behind me and a couple busy weeks ahead. I think that's all I have for you, Mr. Chairman. I'm happy to stand for any questions.
Thanks, Commissioner. Pretty good seat for the fireworks display last night for the Airstreamers. Any questions for Commissioner Richards? Appreciate your work as well. Sounds like be a busy month for you. Looks like I'll bring up the end here. On the 21st, I attended a meeting with the members from C Victus, along with Commissioner Richards and Land Use Director Eric Bingham. You've all went into detail on that, so I won't repeat it. I also attended a meeting with the WCCA, their monthly board meeting on June 23rd, which was specifically held for discussions around their building loan payoff proposal that we spoke about at our last meeting. We agreed at our last meeting that we would budget half of the proposed amount and spread out the payoff over the next 2 years, as you might recall, but there were some questions relative to the mortgage amount within their proposal. The outstanding mortgage as of May was $377,000. They had also taken out a construction loan a few years ago, which was in the amount of $100,000 for facility upgrades, some windows and exterior siding and things of that nature. So the remaining balance on that loan with interest is $111,000. So those two combined is where they calculated the $490,000 amount. Their current interest rate is at 4.25%. So the proposal has been brought forth out of fear of where that rate may land in 2 years when it resets. In the meeting, there was 19 of the 23 counties present when the vote was called, and it passed 19-0 in favor of the payoff. There were a few counties that had concern about being able to afford the increase, even with being spread out over the 2-year period. So the agreement and the plan moving forward was for the executive committee of the WCCA to work with those individual counties to pay off their dues for longer than the 2-year period, in which case the organization will utilize their reserves in the meantime to get the loan paid off, then replenish those reserves as those delayed monies roll in. All counties seem to be in agreement on lowering the annual dues by participating in this increased payoff dues proposal. Jeremiah indicated that the current mortgage and loan expenses amount to roughly 10% of the county dues, so he anticipates being able to lower our dues by 10% at the conclusion of the loan payoff. So that's where that ended up. We did go ahead and budget that, as you might recall, but is there any questions on that before I move on? It's good. Okay. After that, I spent quite a bit of time meeting with Deputy Attorney De Leon on various issues and appreciate his time and dedication. On June 26th, I also attended the events complex and gave a speech at the new Spicer Pavilion, officially welcoming the Airstream Club Rally members on behalf of our board and the residents of Sweetwater County. Commissioner Richards and Slaughter were also in attendance, and we received lots of positive comments and compliments about the hospitality of our community, as Commissioner Richards just alluded to. I too would like to commend Candy and her staff for the continued upgrades to the buildings and grounds. I also look forward to attending the official ribbon cutting and dedication of the Spicer Pavilion tomorrow evening. I was unable to attend my Board of Health and Southwest Counseling liaison meetings due to a personal family matter. Those meetings are typically on the same day, so unfortunately, when you miss one, it's likely you miss both, but look forward to catching up with them over the next couple of weeks. The mayor's and commissioner meeting is today at noon, so it looks like I'll be missing that one as well. As we've already kind of discussed here, I've been working with GOP Chairman Elizabeth Bingham to keep the lines of communication open after Commissioner Shanefeld's announcement to both us and the Republican Party of her resignation. But I just wanted to once again say that I appreciate Elizabeth being easy to talk to on both sides of the process on such an important upcoming appointment. And lastly, I fielded a couple calls from Manila residents expressing their appreciation for staff addressing some of the problem areas on County Road 1 and thank them for reaching out, since we normally only hear the bad side of the issues. But I suspect a lot of that was attributed to Commissioner Richards and Slaughter making the trip down there. So thank you both for taking that under your wing, and that pretty well completes my report unless there's any other questions. If not, nice work, commissioners. And this will take us right into tab C under the action and presentation items. First item is resolution 2307 CL03, the approval of a 3% cost of living adjustment for Sweetwater County. Got Clerk Lane with us again. Welcome back, Cindy.
Thank you, Chairman, Commissioners. I have resolution 23-07-CL-03, which is the resolution authorizing the 3% cost of living adjustment or COLA to eligible county employees. Do you want me to go through that? Or I can read it. Are you good?
You've all reviewed it. I think we're good. Yeah.
Okay.
Any questions on the 3% COLA, commissioners? Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
I'd move to approve resolution 23-07-CL-03, authorizing a 3% cost of living adjustment to eligible county employees.
Got a motion to approve it by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slaughter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
And I was just going to let you know, we can do this, you can do this earlier than now with the resolution, because I couldn't figure out why we didn't have a resolution last time, but it was discussed, it had discussion of it, and then it made a motion to accept it. And as long as it's in the minutes somewhere, then the auditors can see that. Because we didn't do that, I didn't think about it. Then we did the resolution to approve that. So
Okay,
just for, just for reference for next time, we can do it different if we want to.
sounds good. Gotta
Okay.
keep us newbies in line up here.
Well, me too. Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Cindy. Next, commissioners, is item 2 under tab C, the approval of a memorandum of understanding with county treasurer for collection and payment of assessments. And we do have members of Jamestown, Rio Vista Water and Sewer District here. This MOU did not make it in your packet. There was kind of some work on the attorney sides of a few amendments that were being made to it. So we've got a couple options. One, we could take a break, give you guys a chance to review it. I've been told this morning it is prepared and finalized. Or 2, we can postpone it for next meeting. Do you have any preference on that? Doesn't give you a lot of time to review it. It's pretty straightforward, but
Let's move on. We have the parties here.
why don't we,
Take a break?
let's take a 10-minute break. We'll come back right about 10 o'clock. We'll get it printed out so you guys can review it before we have some discussion on it, just to make sure everyone's in the loop, if that works. Take a quick 10-minute break. Hey, welcome back. We are back from break. Where we left off was item 2 under tab C. The approval of the memorandum of understanding with the county treasurer for collection and payment of assessments. Looks like we have Cale Jasperson, Steve Palmer here with Jamestown Rio Vista Water and Sewer District. Morning, gentlemen.
Chairman, Commissioner, I'm Steve Palmer. I'm the attorney for the Water and Sewer District. Cale's our vice chairman. Kind of our longstanding historical knowledge of our district. I don't know if there's any questions. The county, with Mr. Slaughter's prior incarnation as the county treasurer, this was somewhat agreed to. In principle, a cost was came up with the district. We've been trying to finalize this for a little over a year in between your new county treasurer's election. And I think it's the third year, I believe, that the county's billed and collected for the assessment. Have any questions? We'd be happy to entertain them.
Thanks, Mr. Palmer. We appreciate it. We do have a copy here, so we've had a chance to review it on break. Is there any questions on the MOU, commissioners? Mark, do you have anything you would like to add on it? No? Okay. Seems pretty straightforward. I guess with that, we would need a motion to approve, commissioners. So what is your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I would move to approve a memorandum of understanding between Jamestown Rio Vista Water and Sewer District and the Sweetwater County Treasurer.
Do you have a motion to approve by Commissioner Slaughter? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
Thank you.
Appreciate your time. Next on the agenda under tab C is item number 3, the BLM right-of-way grant, WYW 82629 for County Road 39, the Sweeney Ranch Road. We've got Public Works Director Gene Legursky here this morning. Good morning, Gene.
Morning, Mr. Chairman, County Commissioners. What you have before you is a BLM right-of-way grant for another portion of Sweeney Ranch Road. If you remember 2 weeks ago, you guys approved Sweeney Ranch Road, a different BLM grant. This is actually broken into 2 sections by BLM, not us. So it's, it's still Sweeney Ranch Road, but we just need, if I would have waited a week and we would have done these both together, but I didn't know they would get this one out that fast. So.
Any questions, commissioners? Hearing none, I'd entertain a motion to approve the BLM right-of-way grant WIW 82629 for a portion of County Road number 39, Sweeney Ranch Road, and allow the chairman to sign all necessary documents.
Mr. Chairman, I would make the motion to approve the BLM right-of-way grant WYW 82629 for a portion of County Road number 39, Sweeney Ranch Road, and allow the chairman to sign all necessary documents.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Toman. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slaughter. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Next up is item 4 under tab C, the award of the contract for the 2023 lighting upgrade in various county buildings. Got Mr. Legursky here again. Take it away, Gene.
What you have before you is lighting upgrades for 3 different buildings within Sweetwater County. As you guys remember, when you approved the capital this year, I had some extra money in there to do this. We had some extra money from the capital last year that we carried over. And what we did as part of the WattSmart program, we asked them to help us solicit contractors to do this. One out-of-state contractor, one in-state contractor, we have worked with the WattSmart program a lot, and they came recommended by the WattSmart program. And what that is it's incentives from Rocky Mountain Power to change old lighting over to basically new lighting, all LED lighting. They do this around and they give you a little bit of money back based on how many lights you change and everything like that. We're going to redo all the lights in the courthouse over here in Green River, all the lights in the purchasing building, and all the lights in sections A, B, and C, which is all of the detention center. The different payback on that, based on the building, is in between 4.5 and 6.5 years. The project will pay for itself, just based on energy consumption with those new lights. The reason why there's about a 2.5 year span, and that is all depends on the lights, how many lights you have, what kind of lights. Like in Marty's in the purchasing building, the high bay lights that are in the back area, her warehouse are very non-energy efficient. So upgrading those LED lights obviously will pay back for it faster. We went over and met with Mr. Pivik over in Infinity Power Controls, picked out the lights. He's going to start ordering, equipment this week, and getting all of them in, and then we'll get a contract or a schedule together and start replacing those. So there'll be some, late nights, early morning, stuff like that to try to work around people's schedules. The other thing is the contract that you had before you that was in the packet. There was one change that I had. The drop dead deadline for the Watt Smart program to get everything in was October 15th, and that was in your guys's packet. Mr. Pivik has talked to Watt Smart and allowed them to extend it out to December 1st. So the contract that Sally has for Chairman West to sign actually has that final completion date as December 1st. Gives him a little bit more time, especially with some of the detention center lighting. It was all special order, and we just wanted to make sure that we could get it done in time without having to incur liquidated damages.
Very good. Any questions on the lighting upgrades, commissioners?
Until you count the lights, you don't realize how many there are in this building.
I can't imagine.
1,200.
Really?
There are a lot of lights. Don't pay attention to them.
Take all day
They're
to
on.
find them.
It did. Twice.
Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
does this mean the lights above our heads are gonna all be the same color now?
These ones are all the
Well,
same
these ones
color.
are good. Yeah.
Yes, actually in the, especially when you look in the treasurer's room downstairs in planning and zoning, these lights are actually adjustable. They have different lumens and different wattages on them. We'll all set them the same. But we'll also, Mr. Pivik has put in a little bit of force account to extend whips out, and my OCD kicked in when we started counting these, and a lot of them aren't in neat lines. So if we can move them over, they're going to be in a grid pattern and actually look nice and be all the same color and stuff like that. The nice thing is in certain offices, and we've done this in upgrades in certain offices, if somebody has problems seeing the monitor or migraines or something like that, we can turn the wattage down, turn the lumens down, and it actually makes it a little bit better, but not, what we do now is if you look around on some of the lights, they have stickers on them. That means some of them have 2 bulbs in them when they should have 4 bulbs, but because of light and stuff like that, sensitivity, we have to do that all the time. In this courthouse, just to give you an idea, we spend about 8 hours a week just changing light bulbs. So this will be nice because the labor is guaranteed for 2 years and the parts are guaranteed for 5, and they'll come over and fix them. So it'll save a ton of money just on labor.
And aren't the bulbs like 30-year bulbs or something?
Yeah, there's something like that.
Any other questions or comments, commissioners? I'd entertain a motion to award the bid for the 2023 lighting upgrade for various county buildings to Infinity Power and Controls LLC and the sum of $227,219.60, and authorize the chairman to sign all necessary project documents with the understanding that the completion date has been amended to December 1st instead of October 15th.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
so moved.
Motion to approve by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slaughter. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Next under tab C is item number 5. We've got change order number 1 to the Lagoon Road Reconstruction Project. We've got Gene with us here again.
Thank you. What you have before you is change order number 1. And what this is we would like to take out the middle section. When we designed Lagoon Road, we looked at all the traffic counts and stuff like that, but we wanted both major contractors in Sweetwater County to be able to bid on it. So we actually did a portion of it asphalt, a portion of it concrete. And what we'd like to do in this one is the middle section to do it all concrete. DiBernardi was the low bid on this. Lewis and Lewis obviously got some of the paving on it. But DiBernardi has come with us and did a value engineering proposal where they have reduced their contract unit price for concrete, still 11 inches of concrete, to be able to do the middle, basically 2,000 feet. So the first all the way down to the Sunrock approach and through Sunrock will be all concrete instead of actually concrete, a little bit asphalt, and then concrete once we got down to Sunrock. They would like to do that. When we actually looked at it with the engineer, and based on the quantities and what Sunrock and DiBernardi was able to do, lowered the unit price for this change order. So it was worth bringing forward for everyone to consider. One major thing that I'd like to point out on this is when you bid concrete and asphalt, it's always tough. To get even comparisons with everything and to be able to apples to apples, you know. Concrete is a I wouldn't say far superior project, but for the loading and the traffic that is on that road, concrete will do us well way into the future. The main thing is that road, you know, was never meant to be an industrial type road, and it's acting as an industrial type road now. Every load of concrete that goes out of Sunrocks, you got to remember all the raw materials has to go into Sunrock. You know, Dominion is at the very end of that, and they have all their heavy equipment in it. Marshall's has all their heavy equipment. And the main thing that we've realized is the tag axles that, you know, everybody brings in and out. It helps everybody on the highway, but when you turn, it just tears up asphalt, tears up everything that we can do. So the concrete is a better alternative for this section. So
11 inches thick, huh?
11 inches thick.
It's a lot of
Yeah.
mud.
A lot of mud. You know, if you look at the equivalent pavement section, we went down 18 inches, subbed it out, actually put geogrid in it and came back and put 5 inches of asphalt on top of the 12 inches of base. So that's about the equivalent section.
Questions, Commissioner, on change order number 1? Hearing none, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
move to approve the change order number 1 for the Lagoon Road reconstruction project in the amount of $302,768.05 and authorize the chairman to sign all necessary project documents.
Do you have a motion to approve by Commissioner Richards? Do we have a second?
Mr. Chairman, I can second that.
Second by Commissioner Toman. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous.
Thank you.
Thanks, Gene. Appreciate it. Next, under tab C is item number 6, the Community Fine Arts Board appointment. As you might recall, we tabled this at our June 20th, 2023 meeting due to needing some further clarification. So I'd entertain a motion to untable this board appointment.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner
I
Richards,
move to untable this board appointment.
have a motion to remove from the table by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
I can second that.
Second by Commissioner Toman. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. Up now is the board appointment. Looks like we have one application on file. Current seat is being filled by Susie Von Ahrens, and she has applied for reappointment. So I would ask Commission, what's your pleasure?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
I'd move to appoint Susie Von Ahrens to the Community Fine Arts Center Board.
Do you have a motion to approve Susie Von Ahrens to the Community Fine Arts Board? Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Slaughter, original motion by Commissioner Richards. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Motion's unanimous. We already had a break. We good to move on, commissioners? Next up, we'll skip over the break since we had one earlier. Item 8 under tab C. We've got the YDOT State Transportation Improvement Plan, the STIP update on current and future highway projects in Sweetwater County. With us this morning is YDOT District Engineer John Edens and I believe Stephanie Harsha. Good morning.
Thanks for having us, Mr. Chairman and Commissioners. My name is John Edens and I'm the district engineer for Transportation District 3 that's Southwest Wyoming. Uinta, Sweetwater, Sublette, Lincoln and Teton counties. So a fairly good area, but amongst that is the bigger portion of Sweetwater County. So what I'd like to do today is just kind of set up, if you haven't seen our State Transportation Improvement Program, our STIP presentation. This is our planning process to establish the 2024, 5, 6, 7, 8, talk a little bit about 2029 STIPs. So right now we're in the public comment process. And what we'd like to do is just get your input. Couple things is, could you open it up, Steph? I'm not very techie, but just kind of run through the process and where we're at, but then also, you know, a two-way conversation on what projects the county and the local governments in the area see coming up and how we can better fit everything together, merge our planning processes, partner on projects, combine projects, et cetera.
Well, welcome back, Mr. Edens. We're very happy that you came back to the YDOT.
Well,
office.
thank you. A little bit of my background. I was in this position from 2000 until 2014. And I took a little hiatus and went and tested the waters in the private sector. And just recently, first part of 23, I came back to the same position I was in for that 14 years. So I'm very happy to be back, and I hope I can add some value with my experience to the area and the state highways.
Mr. Edens, will there be a new STIP book or the handbook I got last year? Would that be relevant to share with the other commissioners?
That one will be really dated last year's.
Okay.
Because part of the process now, what we have done is, and I'm kind of jumping ahead, but over the last 3 or 4 months, we've rebalanced our STIP based on renewed federal funding projection for the next 5 years. And then honestly, and you'll see it here in detail, but the federal funding levels have diminished greatly from what we published in our last STIP. So as part of this process, what will happen is we'll get this all developed. We'll get all the input put together, and then coming into September, October, our commission will approve the final document, the STIP, and then that will be published. Now the meetings that we're having and our draft STIP will be posted on the website, and I'll give you links to that throughout this presentation. We good?
Not quite.
Seem to have a lot of these issues. Our IT liaison hasn't really been keeping up.
Oh, excuse me.
Under the bus again, man. But also, just making some more introductions. I've also got with me the resident engineers for the area, Brad McCullough and Clint Lockman. We call them the resident engineers, and they're the nuts and bolts and know everything about all the projects. And they also administer the project. So once I get through a little lead-in segue, I'll have each Clint get up and then Brad get up and take you through each project in detail that we've got coming up. And then also with me is Darren Kaufman. He's our district traffic engineer, and Darren's the go-to guy with traffic related issues, signals. If developers or anybody needs an access permit, Darren's office handles those and executes them. So signage, all traffic related issues. So Darren's got the tough job of trying to explain to people why speed limits are 35 versus 25 versus 55. So
As if they follow them anyway.
that's true. That's true. People tend to want to drive the speed limit they're comfortable driving regardless of what you put on a black and white sign. So that's kind of hard to communicate, but. Any luck? We're going a different direction. Okay.
Well, Mr. Chairman, if I could add something.
Yeah.
I wanted to thank Mr. Kaufman. He did do a speed study in the Eden Valley area at the request of the citizens there. I still would like to request a flashing light at that junction somehow, telling them what their speed is. I think it really does help. They go through there 60 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If you had something that says you're going 60 when you see the sign says 45, it might help.
Yeah, we can look at that too. And I just had a little side discussion with with Sheriff Grossnickel just 5 minutes ago. And, you know, a quick, simple help would be just to put fluorescent orange flags on all those regulatory signs, give them some attention. And that's, you know, the radar signs and whatnot that you're talking about are a little more expensive and higher maintenance, but we'll initiate those flags and then we can definitely look at some opportunities to enhance compliance with the speed limit. People need to see a reason to slow down.
Yeah, before they run through the wall. They ran over the sheep on the wall at the community center, which I was very disgusted about.
Now, what's that?
They actually ran through the wall at the community center. They had the sheep on it.
Oh, yeah, Well, I apologize for these technical difficulties.
Commissioner Tillman, if you don't want us to pick on you about sheep, you gotta not bring them up every 5 minutes.
Well, I think I should. I mean, you know.
All right. Like we got her there.
Okay, I've kind of covered the front end of some of this. Like I was saying, the purpose of this meeting is to get public input, what our local agencies in the area are working on, and then an overview of the YDOT proposed dip. That's when I'll have Clint and Brad get up and walk through the projects. YDOT overview. This is just kind of the agenda for today. Development, STIP development and overview, the district projects, and then the next steps as I kind of jump forward, you know, getting the STIP finalized and get it in front of our commission for approval. But YDOT's mission is to provide a safe and efficient, effective transportation system. Our vision is excellence in transportation. And then our values, we use the acronym RIDE: respect, integrity, dedication, excellence, and safety. Just a quick overview of the YDOT in the state of Wyoming. Statewide, there's over 6,700 miles of road, centerline miles of roads. And with that, there's 2,000 bridges. And I won't go into all the numbers, but we're made up of the 5 transportation districts, 1 through 5. 1 would be the Albany County, Laramie County area, generally. 2's the area is centered around Casper. 3 is District 3, the district I oversee. And then District 4 is the Buffalo Basin, Worland, Powell part of the country. And then 5 is centered out of Sheridan. So that's the 5 districts. And they're really, you know, you can kind of get into the numbers, but generally speaking, our forefathers did a pretty good job of dividing them up into comparable areas. You know, different districts like 1 and 3, we have I-80, the 800-pound gorilla on the transportation system. And we all have our little areas that are unique. Teton County might be considered one of those, or Sheridan, the area up there. But that's just a quick overview of the system and how it's broken up. One thing, and I'm sure that your Gene can confirm this, but what we've seen over the last, I would say 8 years, but specifically really craziness during the last 4 years is inflation. Construction cost inflation, material, supplies, labor. Might help if I keep up with my slides, right? But, you know, the bid item changes we've seen just in the last couple of years, just as an example, you know, hot plant mix, you know, a couple years ago was say in the $40 a ton range. Today we're seeing $65 to $75 a ton. We've got some contracts out right now, district-wide overlays with asphalt pavement prices of $130 a ton. So it's just really a moving target, and it kind of ties into what we're seeing and why we had to make some pretty drastic moves in our construction plan for the next 6 years. I'm not going to go through all these, but the gist of it is, you know, we're seeing prices that are doubling, tripling. I've seen some like the bridge cost per square foot. We could consistently use $150 a square foot of deck area. I'm seeing prices like on a bridge we're doing up in over the Snake River, that the price per square foot's almost $500 a square foot. So maybe kind of relate that to the cost of carpet or put down solid wood flooring, and bridge prices are just going crazy. And that's because of these material cost inflation. But what we're really seeing is the other big shortage we're seeing is in the labor market. It's just really hard for our contractors to go out and hire people to run a jackhammer for 10 and 12 hours a day. But you'll see as I move on through here, you know, we've got this inflation going on, especially the last 3 or 4 years, that blip. But what hasn't caught up with it is the federal funding we're receiving. So just a real quick summary, 2022, and this is just for YDOT, but we had $336 million in 2022, $350 million in 2023. And this is what killed us in 2024. That's gone down 30 million to 320 million. So there's 5 districts, remember. And so just a couple months ago, my staff and I were charged with moving. It ended up being a full year's worth of construction from 2024 to 2026 to 2027 to 2028. And it just keeps magnifying itself because we're also applying these inflation rates to those construction costs. So right now things are looking pretty flat, and that's why it's probably going to be important that we continually work at these discretionary grants they're being presented and coming out in the future, and trying to get any money that we can, knowing that we need to have the state funds to match it. It's just another little portrayal of what's going on 2022 through 2026. This breaks it down a little more. The surface transportation, that's for our highways. The BFP are bridges. So this just kind of totals it out. We've even got some money allocated for preparation for electric vehicles. And I'm not going to, I don't have the knowledge right now to go into that into detail, but it's something we're working on. And then, of course, aeronautics, we take care of the airports with funding and construction projects, and then see our totals. But still projected out through 2026 and beyond, we're still hovering pretty flat. Right now, and this is encouraging because right now, we do have a lot of ongoing construction projects. And so this math, and I can't go through each one of them, but these are all the active projects we have going on right now. Some are big, some are little, some are maintenance type project, but we do have a lot of work going on. So that's a positive note. One thing we're working diligently on, and I'm sure Clint and Brad will get into it a little more, but one of our goals over the next 3 or 4 years is to get after I-80. We need to get caught up on I-80. We can't have another spring with the potholes we had out of Patrick Draw and Bitter Creek and over by Little America and Church Buttes. So it'll take us a couple years to get caught up, but we're putting a lot of money into I-80. EVs, charging stations. If you're interested in that, we can share the link or get you more information on. I'm not educated enough to really speak to it, other than we're headed in the direction of installing some infrastructure to assist with getting electric vehicles across the state. The wicket we're probably dealing with is we're very hesitant with the limited state money to spend state money on EVs. And I think where we're probably headed is trying to drum up public-private partnerships to move that process forward. And then the other item that I'm going to focus on just a little bit is we have a lot of deficient bridges statewide, but more importantly, nationwide. And so there is a lot of attention being put on bridges and making sure that, you know, where they're a critical structure, a bridge fails on I-80, it's pretty serious for a lot of reasons, but we can patch roads, but bridges really need to be brought up to good standards. So we are focusing quite a bit of money on the bridge replacement programs. If we go back just a ways, that we're statewide, we're gonna spend at least $50 million a year on bridges. So that's why you'll see a lot of bridge work in the past. You've probably seen a lot of bridge work going on I-80 here between here and Green River and various other locations. Just a little breakdown. We're just real quick, District 3, our bridges that we're working on right now in District 3 are listed. Or they're on the schedule to be worked on are listed right here at the bottom of that chart. Rocks, we got the Bitter Creek and Rock Springs, the Big Sandy, Sublet, New Fork River Bridge, and the Big Sandy River Bridge in Red Creek. And I'm sure my gentleman back here will get into a little more details on those bridges. Just as an example. I'd mentioned grant opportunities, but a good source for, you know, the discretionary grants that are available for local governments, counties, municipalities are all listed at this location on our website. So if you have any questions, or I'm not going to go into all the details of all the grant opportunities because they're constantly coming out with notice of funding opportunities pretty consistently. But it's important that we all keep track of those because there's opportunities for local governments, counties, municipalities to tap into those and make applications for them. Safe routes for all. The list goes on and on. But here's our process review. Here's where we're at. Right now, we're getting the public input. We'll be doing that the rest of this month into August. And then in September, we want, our goal is to have, we will have a STIP ready to put in front of our commission at their September commission meeting. And at the time that STIP, about the time that's getting ready to go to the commission, that'll also be available on the YDOT website under projects, planning, and STIP. We'll have copies of these presentations and copies of the projects and the actual spreadsheet that is the STIP itself. And then not far after that, then that book will be published with the new updated STIP. But honestly, what you got last year is just not worth it. What it's changed too much. And the final STIP will be published October 1st, and that's when the actual bound book will be made and distributed. I'm going to turn it over to Clint. Which order do you fellers want to go in? Okay, so they're both going to come up, but before I sit back down, and I'm here for any questions you might have. So if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask me.
Thanks, Mr. Edens. Appreciate the information. Any questions for John, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Slaughter?
John, you referenced the inflation that we've seen. With respect to the steel, are you seeing supply chain issues with that, or how we've heard different stories on that? So
yeah, generally speaking, usually when we're getting steel, it's prefabricated for the structure we've spec'd or designed. But yeah, we're seeing delays on steel, structural steel. Some on rebar. I know the pre-manufactured bridge packages, we've seen some longer than usual delays on those. And then I think the bigger issue we're seeing is you'll get a price quoted and it's only good for a certain period of time because the markets are just so. Probably the biggest delay I've noted is in pipe, HDPE products, PVC products, some delays in some precast. But, yeah.
Thank you.
John, I think you showed, was that 320 million was the budget for all 5 districts?
Yeah, 326, 330,
And so is that distributed evenly amongst those 5?
That's kind of the basis to start, but then it's left up to myself and my staff. You know, if we have a need and we see a need, we can go. If we justify it, request, but yes, a quick answer to your question, Mr. Chairman, is that's how it starts. But then with some attention made to need.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other questions, commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, one other question, unrelated.
Oh, sorry if I jumped in on you there.
No, not a problem. John, you referenced the issues with Interstate 80 and what we saw this spring. That's one of the things that I've had several questions raised with respect to. What was it? What, did we have additional frost heaving this year? Was it the original condition of the interstate that caused the problems in those areas, or, you know, so we can let people know kind of what has taken place and that you are on top of that, working on that now? What?
Yeah, okay, everything you just said, but then we know, and for various reasons, you know, money going to other projects throughout the district. Maybe not fighting hard enough for an additional $20 million a year to go on I-80. But I do know this in all my years of doing this, that we need to do at least 2, maybe 3 or 4 pretty substantial rehabilitation projects on I-80 from the Utah state line to Creston Junction. And just for various reasons, construction cost, inflation, the winter we just had was atrocious on, I think, everybody's pavements. That amount of snow and that amount of, you know, freeze thaw, et cetera. The moisture gets into subgrade, causes all kinds of problems. So that's a big part of it. But the other part of it, we really need to maybe let some other areas suffer a little bit, but we do need to move and do more projects on it. Bottom line. And look at some other pavement maintenance strategies, microsurfacing, seal coats, crack sealing. Just do whatever we can to hold that investment together. But I think you'll see, and another thing will help is you'll see when Brad and Clint give their presentations, those problem areas that we saw this spring are all getting ready to be let. The Church Butte section's getting ready to be let in September. And then we've got projects coming up out at Bitter Creek and Patrick Draw in the very foreseeable future.
Super. Thank you.
Thanks, John. Appreciate it.
Well, you're very welcome, and I'll turn it over to my experts.
Sounds good. Morning, gentlemen.
Well, I gotta be with you.
There's your segue.
All right, so I'm Clint Lockman. Brad McCollum. I guess starting off with the current local projects. These are kind of the ones John talked about, kind of just maintenance type projects where we do just minor bridge rehabs or cracked seals. They're kind of district wide, not so much focused on one particular road section. The chip seals, contract patch, and Wild Lake Towers. One thing to note about the contract patch is you will see in the coming years a lot of the stuff out by Pointer Rocks. We've just done a bunch of contract patches over the last couple of years. So, but we've got projects set up in the next couple of years to redo them, but do them correctly and not just patches. So to see that, it looks like, you know, good pavement, but it's not fully repaired, I guess. 2023, letting this in September, like John was talking about, we got both eastbound and westbound on I-80 there from the state or the county line to Granger Junction. Going to be an overlay, bridge rehabilitation and pipe, or I guess we don't have what's going on right now.
No, we don't really have anything that's.
I'll just kind of go over the other projects for 2023 that we're working on currently. Brad's finishing
I'm
up.
finishing up the interchange road debacle, we'll say, but we're working on it. We got the big main major interchange done. We're just working on the other part of it with the city of Rock Springs, but
Not to jump in on that, but it was the bridge that was left on that project, right? When is that anticipated to be complete?
we're hoping this time next year.
About another year out, huh?
Yeah,
Right now I've got the Little America project, which is from Granger to the Blacks Fork there on I-80, both eastbound and westbound. That was kind of a catch from, we had some issues on the previous project and we weren't able to, due to funding, to put the full surfacing back on there. So we had to go in and, although it looked really good to the people driving by, it needed more structure there to hold the truck traffic. So that's why that one's going before the other one. I also had the signal project here in Green River, which is pretty much all but wrapped up. We'll see a little bit of work next week and that should be it on that project. There's also a project with the city of Green River down on the walkway down here across from the river at the Riverside Park, pathway and lighting. And then into 2024. Pointer Rocks. So this lets in April 2024. It's both eastbound and westbound from Pointer Rocks to just past Black Butte. One of them areas that we've been fighting for the last couple of years. Mill and overlay with the isolated bridge rehabilitation on some of the bridges there.
and then we're on my crew, we're doing this county line south project from Sublette County Line 191. This current year, we're actually doing it from the county line north 10 miles. This one will be basically between the county line and Farson.
There will be some of them other like usual or maintenance type projects every year, like the crack seals and the contract patches. So there are some other projects in there, but sometimes it looks like there's very little going on.
Like we're in 2025, so that'll be my project for Patrick Raw. We're gonna, just like Clint said with the Pointer Rock section, we put a lot of patching material out there, so this is just to reinforce that material out there that we've already got. We'll just do a quick mill overlay and then some bridge rehabs for a prep for bridge replacement for another couple years down the road, and then we'll be working on the rest areas too on that job.
This Green River West project, that's from Peru Hill, where the concrete basically start down towards just past Krill Jacks to the Green River Bridge on I-80 there. It's essentially just slab replacement, broken slabs, and then grind and texture it smooth and reseal all the joints. So it should be pretty quick and painless, I guess.
And then we're actually part of that off-system bridge funding replacement. We're replacing the end street right by was it Rocky Mountain Power right there in the community center there in Rock Springs. We're gonna take that bridge out and replace it. And we're jumping into on 5:30 work. This was supposed to go this year, but due to the funding that John has talked about earlier, it ended up getting pushed back. Hopefully, if we get some monies, we might be able to move it back forward, but we'll see how it works out. This one's right here in the Utah line going north 6 miles. And we'll just do a mill overlay and chip seal on that. Not sure which that one is.
So the Green River South, that's on the bridges here in town over the river. It's redoing the lighting on them structures. I believe we've got a project at some point in time to redo part of that deck in the southbound
You
lane.
probably saw that last year we did one side of the dig and we kind of patched some bad areas on the other side of the bridge. And it's probably just the as we were doing that, we noticed some issues with the conduit, how they're actually attached to that structure, so. Then we have, like I said, all the 5:30 jobs got pushed back at least a year. This is another one. This is actually going up South Hill from Uinta going up, well, it is Uinta, but going up the hill and up on top there. Just another quick mill overlay, adding structure to the roadway.
Rock Springs South on 191 from essentially just past the landfill, going down just past the fire hole exit there off of 191 South. That one, we're doing a full depth reclamation where they mill up all the asphalt into the underlying base and then put 4 inches of plant mix pavement back on top of that. Will be a limited amount of shoulder work there to kind of use some of that milled material and not really widen them a bunch, but help dress them up a little bit and widen them a little bit.
Next one
Another
is,
27 project.
as you can see, we're hitting at least one section of I-80 every year. This was just done we finished this back in 2012, I believe. And we're gonna hit this again and resurface it, mill overlay, wiring course, and then whatever structures need work in.
2028 local project, what we call the high performance wiring course, which is that surface we put on the concrete between Green River and Rock Springs. It's been in the STIP for a number of years, but it kind of gets pushed due to funding. But we're looking at addressing that. We honestly have not come up with the full treatment yet at this point in time, but it will be addressed with that project.
And then another interstate project, out east of town at Tipton. We finished that one back in 2015 recently, but just to try and keep up on it, we'll do another mill overlay and wiring course on that. And then also in our Patrick Draw section that we're going to be doing in a couple years, we're actually taking, and this is some special funding we're getting from the feds to get some replacements done on some bridges. So we're actually replacing about 6 of the 10 bridges in that Patrick Draw section on this.
Yes. In terms of the bridges John was talking about with the off-system bridge stuff, 2 of the bridges are the county bridges, Big Sandy up off of Blue Rim Road, up by Seats Kitty Refuge, and Clay Basin Road over Red Creek. That bridge gets
It's way up in
replaced
the
also.
northern part of the county there. Then in 2029, another 530 project, the Squaw Hollow. I'm sure everyone's driven over that one little bad spot right there at the Squaw Hollow or it's Brenniger Ferry or something right now, whatever the name of it is, but, yeah, we'll get that fixed and do a mill overlay and fix that up, so.
Down 191 south again, basically at the, I guess not quite the state line. There's another mill level overlay from the 539 to the 546. That's starting down the hill on the backside of a little mountain there. And then Rock Springs South Belt Loop on 376. It's basically gonna pulverize up the existing concrete and resurface with just asphalt pavement over the top of that. And we're in course, that's in there. Let's see, got Brad. Oh, and future delayed local projects. Wyoming 530 through Green River here from the river bridge north up or south to the basically edge of the city limits there. Full depth of reclamation overlay with wearing course. So basically it's kind of like what we did in Rock Springs a few years back, where we pulverized the existing asphalt and mixed it in with the base underneath and then paved over the top of it. We found that works pretty good in them curb and gutter sections. Tie it back in and you don't have to remove all the material and put new base back in. There's gonna be some more ADA upgrades on that project. And then another one of my projects, down at the state line on 191 south. That one's a full depth reclamation with 4 inches of flat mix pavement and a chip seal on it. And we get some other,
And some more future ones, Wamsutter East section, basically from Wamsutter to Creston Junction. Just do another middle overlay on that, and then this Creston Junction section, we're actually gonna do from basically Red Desert to Creston Junction. We're gonna add get VSL signs out there to help with the speed limit, especially during the winter. We can control the speeds out there a little bit better. Then I also have this Wyoming 374 Jamestown section, basically once you turn off to Jamestown right here, all the way to the LaBarge Road. We'll do a FDR on that and then pave it back in.
then another service road is the north side of the interstate from LaBarge exit to Little America, redoing that service road there. Full depth reclamation overlay and chip seal. Again on that. I think that's it. That's it.
You guys have any projects coming up? That was a joke. It's a lot of work.
Kind of hit and miss.
Yeah, that's a lot going on.
Now, like I said, and
That's just in this county.
that doesn't go through all of like our contract patches, which are kind of more yearly. We try to hit them areas that are a real maintenance problem that year.
Yeah, we make a guess and then we basically tweak it right before we actually go do it to make sure that we hit the real bad areas.
Just go ahead, Commissioner Tom.
You're doing chip seal on LaBarge Road 372 now, right?
That is
Section?
actually a different project that's actually out of the Evanston office right now. It's
Oh.
actually a hot in place procedure that's new to all of us. They're actually milling the existing surface up and it just spits it into the paver and spits it back out and just lays it right back down. So it's a lot, it's based on that, the road and how much traffic we have out there is kind of a good candidate for a test section on how that actually will work. So they're actually doing another section down south of Evanston on 150. That'll be the same way. So
Gene actually came up and checked it out too, and so you guys might be looking at some of them in the future. Do you have anything else, John, to turn it back over to you if there's no further questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
Brad, on your interchange road project, I noticed the logo signs are still behind the old exits. So they say, food next exit, but
Right.
the next exit is the interchange and there's
Right.
nothing there. What's your timeline for getting those caught up and
We could
and adding
probably
new-
with Darren about that. On that project, we probably haven't addressed it, but we can look at them, maybe get them moved around or something, but
trying to bring people to Rock Springs? And then we got signs that are telling them next exit, there's food and there's no food.
yeah.
We'll get those fixed as soon as possible.
There was some signage out there that was a little conflicting with our new interchange that our people in Cheyenne didn't kind of anticipate. So we're probably gonna have to go through there and reevaluate what we got there.
Thank you. That's all I have, Mr. Chairman.
Any other questions, commissioners? Thanks, Clint. Brad, appreciate,
Thank
we'll
you.
look into the future.
Can you fix that? Just so I can see it. I was just gonna give some closeout contact info for our local governments and. But that pretty much concludes our. Oh, but this is all available on our website, but for local governments to learn about funding opportunities, feel free to contact me. I can definitely get you headed in the right direction. The next link up there is to provide comments virtually on our STIP. So feel free to do that. And I can ask Stephanie to shoot out these contacts to you folks so you have them. But feel free at any time to contact me in Rock Springs at 352-3000 and I'd be happy to, if I don't know the answer, I will get it for you.
Well, thanks, John. We appreciate you taking the time to come over today and let us know what's going on with the whiteout and all the different projects. Sounds like you guys have plenty of work ahead. It's just a matter of funding like always, but we'll be sure to keep that phone number in mind when we're starting to get complaints about county roads too. We'll just ship them your way over there. And no, that's good to see. And like Commissioner Slaughter alluded to, I mean, obviously the closer areas, that we talked to sounds like are on your guys' horizon. So that's good to see. Any other comments, questions, commissioners?
I'd say, Mr. Chairman, if you need another road to experiment with hot in place, CR1 has plenty of places that you could experiment on.
I would second that.
I was virtually following the meeting and I've, in my career here in Rock Springs, done several jobs on good old County Road 1 but they're probably 26, 27 years old now. So yeah, they're probably worn out and part of the roller coaster, but yeah, there's genes in tune, but yeah, there's all sorts of new technologies and things you can try on roads like that. So.
Well, we appreciate the background. I know for me, I didn't know much about the STIP, process or anything. So thanks for providing that. And I'm sure between Gene and yourself being back, we'll continue to work away and build a good relationship to get some things done together. So
Absolutely.
appreciate your time.
You, Mr. Chairman, Commissioner.
That concludes the regular agenda. I did want to bring up one thing I forgot, commissioners, in my comments, and that's some of the liaison duties that have now been vacated with Commissioner Shanefeld's absence. There's a couple big ones there between SEDC and the specific purpose tax. So you might give that some thought moving forward. She did inform me on the 13th was the next specific purpose tax meeting. She was supposed to send me the info on that and has not. So I'll try and follow up with that. I don't mind filling that role in temporarily, but adding that to my plate is going to be nearly impossible. So I don't know if you all want to give that some thought over the next couple of weeks. I can bring you up to speed at our next meeting once I learn more on the 13th, but whomever the new commissioner may be at that time, that's going to be a pretty big task to take on. So
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner Richards.
because our land use director currently, well, up until Commissioner Shanefeld's resignation, had 3 liaisons, I'd offer to fill the SEDC position going forward. So he only has 2 commissioners to deal with. One's too many, but 3 was definitely a lot to ask of him.
Yeah, and I'm good with that. I know she's got more than those 2, that we'll have to fill, but I would suspect obviously with the new commissioner can take on some of those, but I know those are kind of 2 of the most important at this time in my conversations with.
She has museum and I can't remember the others. Starbus Museum.
Yeah, and she's got grants, juvenile probation. I can't remember all the others, but. All right, let's give it some thought, 'cause I'm gonna be doing some designating coming up, so. That's all I had on that. We'll shift SEDC to Commissioner Richards if you 2 are in agreement with that.
You bet.
Any other thoughts or comments before we move on? Next on the agenda is an executive session to discuss legal. Don't think we'll be taking action, but we don't know until we come out of it. So I'd entertain a motion to enter into executive session for legal.
Mr. Chairman,
Commissioner
I
Richards,
move we enter into executive session for legal.
motion by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Tillman. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are now in executive. Thank you, guys. entertain a motion to come out of executive session and reconvene the meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Richards. Do we have a second?
Yes. sure.
Second by Commissioner Toman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, nay. Okay, after coming out of executive session, we do have some action to take. And commissioners, I would entertain a motion to approve the letter of engagement as discussed in executive session.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Slaughter. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Richards. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Is there any other business that needs to come before the board before we adjourn? Hearing none, we are out early today. That's a nice feeling, and we'll see you all in a couple weeks. No further business. This meeting's adjourned.